Hey everybody, it's Mike One Up here, and I'm gonna go over the Budget Whirlwind Guide. This is what I use to get to 100 first on the NA servers, so hopefully this helps. A quick thing I'm gonna go over right away is the Trial of Might. The Trial of Might monsters will give you boosted experience, and not many people know about this. Every time you kill one, you gain big chunks. So I highly recommend every time you see this trial, you do it, and enjoy the EXP gains. As you can see, the build is really strong. You can just stand right on the fires, and this will help you out. Over here, we're going to show you the potential of the end game. This is Keegan, one of the bosses at the end. As you can see, the build can stand right in the middle, chunking away at his life, ignoring most of the mechanics, and you'll have a good time. Hopefully you watched my first guide that helped you jump to the end game, and you were able to do that as quickly as I did. If so, you're able to get there, and right now you're standing at maps within 3 hours of gameplay. So we're gonna pick up where that left off, and we're gonna talk about what you do as soon as you get to maps. Once you reach maps, I suggest progressing through the maps in a linear fashion. What that means is you're gonna start off at time mark number 1 at Glacial Abyss. You will clear 4 maps to unlock the Watcher, and then defeat the Watcher. This will give you the Ember. Once you have the Ember, you'll be able to switch over to Boiling Lava time mark 1 and repeat the same process. This will give you the second Ember. Continue this process all the way through in a linear fashion. You're gonna go to now time mark 2 Glacial Abyss, clear it out, get the Ember. Time mark 2 Boiling Lava, clear it out, and get the Ember. Continue for time mark 3. At this point, you'll do Steel Forge. Once you defeat Steel Forge time mark 3, you will unlock the ability to craft. At this point, we will go and check our gear out, fill in any resistances we're missing and may need, as well as adding whatever damage boosts to our weapons that we can. We will come back to the maps, and we'll continue progressing in that linear fashion, going back to time mark 4 Glacial Abyss, time mark 4 Boiling Lava, time mark 4 Steel Forge, and so on. The reason we do this is because we will need to get every single Ember anyway, so it is more beneficial to complete the maps when they are appropriately leveled to you. You will gain more experience by being the same level, as well as it will make it faster and easier to clear. While you're progressing through this, keep an eye on the ground for any gear that you will use, such as axes, armor helmets, armor chests, armor boots, and so on. You keep an eye out for this, holding on to any good modded gear you find. You can either just slam it right on to get a boost, or you can go to the crafter to finish off the crafts and enchants to round out the resistances and add more damage to it. I'm going to show you how to attempt to craft a budget axe, and this may help you find if you can't find any axes that are good. You always have this available as an option as you collect more resources. The first thing we're going to want to look for is added gear physical damage. So we're going to roll until we find one of those. And we have found one. We will select it. We will now move on to find percent gear physical damage. We got 50% physical. This is also good. We'll grab this and continue looking for our gear physical. We now have our gear physical. We will select this. We'll go down to our bottom craft here, and we are going to look for attack speed or critical strike damage. We now have our attack speed, so we'll put this on. Here we have 2 choices. If you have the Ruling Ember, you can look for your 2 to 4 added physical attack damage per strength. Or if you're still on a budget, you can look for your gear attack critical strike damage. I have the embers, so we will try to get this. We now have landed it, but we landed it in a spot we don't really want. However, since this is a really good roll, we have no problem replacing our first one, and we're going to take this with a smile. We'll then go back up to our our Essence Ember, and try to get our mod back. We want it on the lower part here now. Well, that's also a good roll. So we're going to add it. It's on the one we want to replace it. So that is perfect. We haven't lost anything. We're going to add that. Now we have the choice of going down here. We're going to look for our gear attack, our critical strike damage. We have found it. It's not good, but we have it. Finally, once we have our budget axe put together, we can finish it off with an enchant. Where is my new axe? There we go. And this enchant will be strength. So we're going to roll down to the bottom here. We're going to pick the cheapest option available, and we're going to put our strength on. And this is the ideal looking budget axe. If you can afford it and you have the resources, obviously try to get higher rolls in all of these categories. The higher the better. But these are the main stats you're looking for when you're looking for a budget axe craft. For our talents, we're going to start off with God of Might. Here we're going to prioritize attack damage, attack speed, critical strike rating and critical strike damage, more attack damage, extra weapon damage, one strength node to be able to unlock weapon attack speed, and then we will finish off with that last strength node to unlock our big talent. As for our big talents, I recommend starting with the tenacity, as this will give you a way to start generating tenacity blessings as well as a maximum stack. You will also use great strength to begin with, as we do not have 100% conversion at this point, so we'll use great strength for a damage boost. At this point, we swap over to a warlord and fill the tree in like this. We're going to get maximum life, attack speed, more life and life regain, more critical strike rating, and critical strike damage. Now we can get our 50% physical damage converted to fire damage. Comboed with the support skill gem in our Whirlwind early on, this will now give us 100% physical to fire damage. We now move back to the first tree and select our fueling. We will return to this tree and finish it out. We're going to pick up 1% fire damage per 50 strength, as well as weakened enemies when area skills deal damage, which is all the time for Whirlwind. Finally, we'll finish off with own one additional stack of tenacity blessing, and it'll give you a small skill radius per stack. For our big nodes, we're going to select rock, as this will give us 2 more maximum stacks of tenacity, as well as adding the 15% fire damage per stack of tenacity blessing owned. Finally, we're going to end with focused blow, which will allow you to deal more damage the closer you are to the enemy, so it's a good idea to be as close to them as you can while you're fighting without standing right in front of them. We're going to finish off with the ranger tree, prioritizing our critical strike rating, our critical strike damage, our attack speed, more attack damage. We're going to pick up a life node here. This will allow us to start working on our favor tree and go back to life to finish that off. Once we pick up this talent node, we will now be able to get favor as soon as we're near enemies. This will allow us to use fluke. This is a big damage spike. At this point is when you want to activate fluke. As you saw as I was placing my skills, you're going to unlock this node before you get that talent. So I recommend using gravity until you unlock the favor node, which will activate fluke. At this point, we're going to finish out our tree with more damage. More critical strike rating and damage. We'll finish off our life. We'll also pick up additional armor and elemental resistance, as well as this, which is a big defensive layer to stop you from taking extra damage. We now have the ability to unlock impending. We'll select impending, and we'll continue out our tree here with 12% damage, 30% maximum life. We'll go back to our first tree. We'll finish off our strength stack. We'll finish out our maximum life and regain. And then finally, once you start pushing into the tippy tops of the end game and you get closer to 100, we're going to round out our tree with more maximum life. For our hero traits, we're going to start off with Anger, Frenzy Furious, Rampaging, Boiling Anger, and Reverberation. I highly recommend staying with Reverberation while you're leveling. If at any point you feel like you want a damage boost and you're okay with playing on a riskier scale, you can use Uncontrolled Anger. However, you will be more susceptible to death and you may lose a lot of experience. I highly recommend staying in Reverberation while you're leveling. For what we socket into Burst, I use Harden and Mark. Every time we burst, this will trigger and we burst a lot. What Harden does is give us a huge defensive layer, and it's really good to have this active at all times. Every time we burst, we have Harden. We will always have Harden active like this. Following that same principle, we will always debuff the enemies with Mark. Mark is a debuff that will allow the enemies to take extra critical strike damage, which is a huge damage boost, and that is why we have Harden and Mark in our hero traits. For our skills, we will start off with Whirlwind. We're going to add Channel Preparation, Steamroll, Guard, Attack Focus, and Physical to Fire. Once you have the gloves that will give you 50%, you will be able to switch this support skill to Bloodthirsty Slaughter. For potion, we have two choices. We have the Compound Potion, which functions on a cooldown of 8 seconds, which is great for fighting bosses. Alternatively, for maps, we have Life Source. This will recharge as you kill monsters, so it's a lot better for maps. You could run out of cooldowns versus bosses, so I recommend switching to Compound Potion for bosses. Attached to these potions, we have Residues, Berserk, and Armor Infusion. For Leap Attack, we want Quick Mobility, Periodic Burst, and Blinding. We use Reform with cooldown reduction, extended duration, and cost conversion. We use our Bloodthirst, supported with Mania, Bloodbath, cost conversion, and Mass Effect. For our auras, we want to use Charged Flame, Flame Imbue, and Erosion Amplification. It's very important you make sure these three auras are linked to mana, and you seal them on mana. We will use Steadfist, Rejuvenation, and Nimbleness with a seal conversion, so these will use our life to support them. Finally, we have Cast on Critical Strike with Scorch, Fixate, cost conversion, so we use our life, and Abysmal Hatred. Finally, when you get near to the end, closer to the end game, you'll be able to unlock this talent. Here you will want to use Swiftness. However, keep in mind that you need to keep your Swiftness low level, as you may not have enough mana to activate it. I can only activate a level 8, for instance. If I were to put in a level 9, it would cost me too much mana and I won't be able to activate it. I'm going to go over some of the base gear stats you're looking for. Ideally, you want to pick this stuff up off the ground and then continue crafting it, or just craft it yourself. For your helmet, you want to make sure you have as much life and maximum life as you can get, and then fill in your missing resistances. An additional defensive layer, such as physical damage taken converted to fire damage, is always nice. For your chest, you want to follow the same principle of putting as much life and maximum life as you can, fill in your remaining resistances, as well as whatever extra defensive layer you can get, such as minus 15% extra physical damage taken. For your neck, the important thing here is +1 channeled energy. This is a very rare craftable mod. You can either find it on the ground, you can try to craft it, or you can look for it in the auction house to see if you can find a cheap neck that has this +1 channeled energy. Once you have that, on a budget basis, you're just going to want to add life, fill in your missing resistances, and enchant on an extra little damage boost. For your gloves, this is very important. You're looking for at least 50% physical damage converted to fire damage. Once you have this on your gloves, you'll be able to replace your support node in Whirlwind with Bloodthirsty Slaughter. Additionally, you're also looking for maximum life, added physical damage, and filling out your resistances. Additional strength here is always nice. For your boots, same principle. Maximum life percent, fill in your missing resistances, and get whatever defensive layer you can, such as -9% extra physical damage taken. This is where the build will start costing a little bit more. This is a very important ring. I recommend saving all your Flame Elementium and making this your priority first purchase, as it will be a huge damage spike. This will allow you to have Bull's Rage active every 4 seconds. Here, you're looking for a ring to trigger your blessing gains. I have a ring that lets me gain every single blessing through it. This is a rare ring, it's hard to find. Alternatively, in the meantime, you can use a ring that looks like this, where it fills in your missing resistances, as well as giving you damage or life. I went with life regeneration here because I found it like this. Alternatively, you should prioritize putting maximum life here. As for your belt, well, this one's gonna be a rare one, and it's gonna cost you a lot. This will be your second purchase. You're looking for a belt that has quick ritual. This will give you another minimum channeled energy stack, which you want to have 5 channeled energy at all times. This is important as it will make your Whirlwind deal 40% more damage. As for the rest of the stats, well, they're kinda random, so you're just gonna have to look at what's available for the price and gauge what has the most usable mods. I got lucky with mine. Mine gives me extra life regen, a bigger barrier shield, more life regeneration, as well as a damage boost per blessing, and I have a lot of blessings. For your axes, you're looking to get added physical damage, 2 to 4 added physical damage per X strength. I recommend here using, as you're leveling, a gear physical mod. I have this here as an end game craft, and you can put it here, but while you're leveling, you're staying at full life mainly. You're not losing life. So this was kind of a dead mod while you're leveling. I recommend putting a gear physical percent or gear physical global. Physical damage global. For your suffixes, you're looking for attack speed, critical strike damage, and 71 strength. These are your budget crafts, not your ominous crafts. Later on, you will want to add ominous crafts here to maybe replace strength with double damage, or alternatively, other end game crafts. You want to get a weapon that's similar to this on both weapons. Here you can see I have the physical damage mod I was telling you about to replace this damage mod up here. Thank you very much for checking out my very first Torchlight guide, the Budget Whirlwind. This is what I used to get to 100. Hopefully you learned something here and you can implement those skills into your own gameplay. If you have any comments to help me improve my next guide or improve this video, please leave them in the comments below. Other than that, I wish you all the best of luck in your hunt, and I'll see you all in game.